Hello, everybody, and welcome to RunnelClan. RunnelClan is a small clan who lives in the tidal caves near a beach. They used to be a group of loners who considered themselves a clan, but the other clans rejected them. When there was a terrible storm outside and their barn caught fire from a lightning strike, they all evacuated, losing most of their cats in the fire. Little Star, their leader, was terrified of what would happen to them. But as they were continuing their journey, trying to find somewhere to live, his sister Splashpaw came down to him from the spirit. She had been one of the cats that had died in the fire, and he never knew if they would really go to StarClan or not. She told them that she had a sign where they were supposed to live and where they were supposed to flourish. As she led them there, many cats struggled to continue the journey, sometimes breaking off into groups. Little Star felt so guilty, but he continued moving, following his sister's signs. They finally ended up at the beach, where there was a tidal cave waiting for them. It was a mess, but as long as it was somewhere safe to live, he was okay with it. Little Star started off his year by finding his and Toad Don's apprentice sneaking out of camp and into a badger's den. When he noticed they were gone from camp, Toad Don accompanied him to find the mischievous apprentices. After bringing them back to camp, he made sure to punish them, but was even more upset when they didn't react much at all. When he went to train with his own apprentice alone, he noticed that Copperpaw seemed down that day. He began to show him more respect by treating her more like a warrior during trainings, which improved Copperpaw's confidence. One day, Little Star was taking a walk to collect his thoughts about his clan when he strayed a bit far from camp. He soon found himself surrounded by hostile rogues, which cost him one of his lives. He watched his body be discovered by his clanmates before he returned to his body for his next life. Little Star, for some reason, went out to take a walk again when he got caught by Two Legs and taken away for a few days before he returned with a collar around his neck. He is ashamed of his mistake and tries to ignore the fact that he even has the collar on in the first place. Toadon is a confident kitten sitter who is also an incredible runner. She is 67 moons old. Toadon started her year off strong with worry as her apprentice goes missing. Moving to a new home was difficult for her, and now her apprentice leaving camp without telling anyone freaked her out. She went with Little Star to find them and was relieved to pull them out of a badger's den alive. She made sure to lecture Hop Paw, but made sure to make sure that he was okay. She noticed a small crush developing on the clan's medicine cat, who also seemed to notice her. She used to judge the Tom before they left their old home, but spending more time with him made her opinion change. One day, Toad Dawn was out on patrol when her leg got stuck in the two-leg trap and was rushed to the medicine den. She found out she enjoyed the Tom's presence more, and she thought, and even after she healed, she found excuses to go to the medicine den. On Moon 8, she found out that she was expecting kittens. She was overjoyed at the thought and quickly became mates with the medicine cat, despite the thoughts of the leader and others. She gave birth to two healthy kittens on Moon 10, Cozy Kit and Pearl Kit. Willow Quiver is RunnelClan's medicine cat. He is cold and lore-keeping, and he is sitting at 100 moons old. Willow Quiver really didn't have much that he did this year, mostly injury-related things. He did spend some time with Light Clash during an herb gathering patrol, who told the medicine cat about a vision he had. Willow Quiver also had an in-depth conversation with Flax Fuzz about what his purpose was. He was surprised that as he treated Toad Dawn for her injuries, he began to find himself liking her more. They didn't have the best relationship back at their old home, but now it seemed like they were becoming closer with each other. When he found out she was expecting his kids, he asked her to be his mate. When she accepted, Willow Quiver went to ask Little Star for his acceptance on the kids, since they weren't exactly up to code standards. Little Star didn't like the idea, but since he trusted the Tom, he allowed it. His respect for his leader grew strongly as he promised to never get distracted from his work when it was most important. He deeply loves his kids and makes sure that they are taken care of at all times. Reed Creek is a righteous and steady-pawed learner of lore. She is 24 moons old.
Reed Creek began the year off horribly. She was assigned with Frost Kestrel to go on a patrol. It looked pretty dark with the clouds out, but Frost Kestrel encouraged them to push through. She trusted the young cat, being only a moon younger than her at the time and way more confident. She followed her farther away from the camp. As they reached the river border, the rain began to fall and it fell fast. Frost Kestrel and helped Reed Creek into the tree, and she helped the younger cat up with her. Wind blew in their faces, and Reed Creek held on tight to the branch as the river's water rose and swallowed the ground up. She couldn't hear over the wind, but she could see her friend falling off the tree and into the water, never to be seen again. Reed Creek was saved after the storm died down and sat in her nest for a few days before getting back up, still feeling somewhat numb after the grief. Not much else happened with her this year, but overall I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with her. Frost Kestrel was an 11-moon-old, confident fighter. She didn't do anything this year, but she did graduate early at 11 moons old. She was on patrol with Reed Creek when the storm hit and she unfortunately drowned. Flax Fuzz is a strict and good fighter with helpful insight. He is 23 moons old. Flax Fuzz was an interesting cat, even if he didn't do too much this year. He was Toad Dawn's apprentice, and even though he was an advanced apprentice, his mentor didn't really care much for him. She took him out for practice and such, but never really cared. Most of the time, he went out with the other apprentices to train with them to get to the same level. He graduated surprisingly early with Little Star's approval after he asked for his assessment. On Moon 6, he went out on a patrol alone during the day and came back with 4 kittens. Little Star allowed them to stay, since they were all still newborns. Little Star asked where the mother was, or where the kits originated from at least, but Flax Fuzz refused to talk about it. The kittens were fed whatever the clan could find, and they scolded Flax Fuzz for not caring as much as he should. During leaf fall, 2 of the kits got kitten cough, resulting in one of them, Finkit, passing away. Flaxfuzz was upset that Willow Quiver didn't save the kitten, screaming at the tom before grieving for it. A few moons later, the kits were apprenticed, and he was surprised that Little Star had given him his own kit for one. That didn't seem to help the relationship between him and Budpaw at all. The tom seemed to care less and less about his kittens, as he isolated himself from others more with every moon. He went out with Willow Quiver to collect herbs and apologized profusely to him. The medicine cat accepted his awkward apology, and they talked for a while during the patrol. Flaxfuzz explained his worry about StarClan and his life, and Willow Quiver assured him that everything would be okay. Flaxfuzz was leading a patrol near a snake-infested area with Coppertooth and Hopspore when Hopspore ran off. They followed the young Tom just to find him in horrifying condition. Flaxfuzz still blames himself for it, but he's never approached the Tom to apologize yet. Hopspore is a faithful and lore-keeping Tom. He is also a good teacher. He was 21 moons old. Hop Paw began his year sneaking out of camp with Copperpaw. He had a small crush on her at the time, following her as much as he could without looking like a creep. As they left camp, he noticed a recently dug badger den. He called Copperpaw over, and the she-cat quickly went to investigate. Hop Paw hesitated, but joined in with Copperpaw, though before anything could happen, he felt himself get lifted up by his scruff by his mentor. He was ashamed of himself as he walked home, hanging his head in shame. When he graduated, he went on patrol with one of the new apprentices when he tried to guide them on a new battle move. The apprentices began to boss him around, and when Hopspore tried to correct the apprentice, they gave him attitude and walked away. During a patrol with Flax Fuzz and Coppertooth, he caught scent of nearby prey. He quickly followed the scent of the squirrel, leaving the patrol behind. He saw the squirrel messing with the snake, trying to dodge its attacks. One thing he didn't think of was the snake coming right to him and biting his paw. He was quickly found unconscious on the ground and taken back to the medicine den. He also caught red cough while in the medicine cat den and is still there now. Poor guy. Coppertooth is a playful and prophecy-seeking she-cat who is 18 moons old. She started off her year attempting to sneak out of camp with her friend. She enjoyed spending time with him, developing a small crush on him, though. Though, when they went out into the territory and found a badger's den, the two were caught. She huffed at Hop Paw, blaming him for getting caught and losing the crush she had for him. During a training session with Little Star, she was still feeling a bit down when she messed up a simple move. She ran away, upset with herself for all her mistakes. Little Star found her and comforted her. Once they returned to training, he began to treat her like a warrior. Her confidence boosted, and they finished the training off amazingly. She graduated at 12 moons. She was on a patrol with Flax Fuzz and Hopspore when Hopspore got bitten by a snake. They rushed the Tom into the medicine den. She felt bad for the Tom, but never visited him, though she still hoped he would be okay. She was surprised when Little Star gave her an apprentice, Meadowpaw. The two got along extremely well, training together and messing around with the older warriors, though Coppertooth seemed to notice that her apprentice was a bit more down lately, not wanting to participate with any of their playtime anymore. Meadowpaw is a childish Tom with an active imagination. He is 7 moons old. Meadowpaw was one of the kits Flax Fuzz brought into camp. He had been the first one that his father had found first. Once back in the clan, he tried his best to play with Flax Fuzz, doing whatever he could to get his father to notice him. Nothing seemed to work, though, so he gave up, finding comfort in his sibling, Fallingpaw, and his clanmate and mentor, Coppertooth. As they trained, she would always find some way to make the lesson more fun. She would even help Meadowpaw play pranks on Reed Creek and her father. Though, after playing a prank on his father, he was immediately scolded for recklessness and foolish behavior. Meadowpaw tried to explain the harmless joke, but Flax Fuzz sent him off. After that, Meadowpaw refused to play with Coppertooth anymore, feeling like a failure now. Fallingpaw is a righteous and avid playfighter who also has an active imagination. She is 7 moons old. Fallingpaw was another one of the kittens Flax Fuzz had brought home. She enjoyed playing with her two siblings, making up new games to play to keep her brothers occupied, though it never seemed to please Meadowkit. She made sure to keep her other brother distracted from their father as they grew. When she became an apprentice, she was given to Reed Creek. She knew the young she-cat was still grieving, so she did her best to also cheer up her mentor. The warrior was thankful for the comfort and made sure to do anything to help Fallingpaw, even if they sometimes didn't train for a day or two. Fallingpaw didn't mind being a bit behind on her training, just as long as she learned what was important. She did begin to feel a bit worried for her brother Budpaw, as he became more distant from the clan and from her family. Budpaw is a charismatic Tom who is also an avid playfighter. He is 7 moons old. Budpaw was the last surviving kitten of the litter, almost dying of kitten cough. One night, as he was sleeping in the medicine den, he saw a bright star outside the den before he fell asleep. He played all the time with his sister Falling Kit, mostly losing from his smaller size, but always told himself that he was a bud, and buds always bloom. He always thought about that star, though, wondering as if it was a sign of some sort. Whenever he tried to engage with his father, the older Tom would just ignore him or push him away. When Budpaw became an apprentice, he was shocked to find out that he was given to Flax Fuzz. He knew his father didn't really like him or his siblings, so he was hoping that everything would change. Budpaw couldn't have been any more wrong. Every time he made a mistake, Flax Fuzz would yell at him. Any time he wanted to take a break, Flax Fuzz would tell him that he is always finding a way out of his duties. During a cloudy night, Budpaw walked out of camp and sat down with a view over the horizon. He saw the star again and felt a pull towards it. Everything here felt wrong. He wasn't even born here, but this is where he is now. Maybe there is something out there waiting for him. He walks back to camp, thinking of what he could do. Swarm Jumble is a cold Tom with steady paws. He is 139 moons old. Swarm Jumble did nothing this year, though he told stories to kittens of the clan and all the apprentices to clean ticks off of him. He knows this time is near and is so grateful that Light Clash had moved in with him before then. The two spent time together, chatting and messing with the apprentices and kits with silly stories and the small pranks. Light Clash is a lonesome Tom who has an unshakable dark forest link and is a good climber. He is 127 moons old. I'm unsure of why he has a dark forest link, but I'm guessing he did some bad stuff before he moved into the clan. He was a mentor to Frostkestrel, and he was distraught after he found out that his apprentice was swept away by a storm. He grieved longingly for the young cat, wishing that it was him instead. He moved into the Elder's Den early, knowing that his aching body wouldn't hold up for him for much longer. He also knew how lonely Swarm Jumble was, as well as himself, so he began to spend more time with the older Tom. They became best friends and just spent the rest of their time together this year.